Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Okay, thank you so much, Bunny Rose, for being here first. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you very much, moderators, for always keeping this the safest space in all of the Sussex hood. Okay, and I'm just going to scroll all the way through. Go down to here to the last. And Dansby, you're the last one in. Thank you so much for being here. And hmm, that is weird. Why am I getting this message? Okay. Oh, all right. I just said that I had lost connection, but now I'm reconnected. That was strange, but let's not worry about it. As long as we're here and you can hear me, it's all good. All right, so there is a royal charm offensive going on as we speak. And we're going to talk about that. And oh, okay, I just want to take my face out of here. There we go. So let's get on with it, shall we? Um, oh, by the way, let me see here. Yeah, that looks about right. I took a little license. I don't know if you can tell, but I took just a little license. Um, I decided to undo some of the work that was done somewhere in the editorial process. You understand what I'm saying? I had to undo a little editorial work. Okay, and there we go. So, meet People's 25 most intriguing people of the year. From newly minted A-listers to timeless forces of nature, these stars kept us talking in 2023. Well, this is the first list of the season, isn't it? That's the one thing that once it starts, you can't put it back. And that is the end of the year list of who knows what. So this is people's 25 most intriguing people of 2023. Of course, I don't care about the other ones. I just wanted to focus on all things Sussex. So only Prince Harry. Meghan did not make the list this year. So let's see. Prince Harry opened up like never before in his best selling memoir, Spare, revealing what he called the good, the bad, and everything in between of life's behind palace wall. Almost 4 years after breaking from the crown and heading to California with Duchess Meghan, a move that has irreparably fractured the relationship with his father and brother. Harry is looking to the future as he told people in January, I feel I am exactly where I am meant to be and exactly where my family are meant to be. So, oh boy, that was small. But yes, I'm okay with that, except for that one part irreparably fractured the relationship with his father and brother. How about the ouster, the exile, them pushing him out? But I'm not in the mood to argue. So that's what the writer said, but I don't agree with that part of it. I think they, yeah, I didn't agree with it. Oh, let me see. I might want to keep that and that. All right, very good. Hmm. Wow, a list of celebrities that have received substantial damages. Some publisher pays out. You know what? How did I miss this? Let me go ahead and grab this and I will share it with you. How in the world did I miss this one? but I'm going to grab it. I'm going to do a little screen grab here, and I will leave that there. And why don't we get into that? Okay, let me see. How do I want to do this? I go back here. Oh. I got it. Okay, so I do this, talking it out in my head. Okay. That and okay. And that. Got it. Got it. I love when a plan comes together. Or the unplanned. So let me take that away and we'll focus on this. So check it out. Sun publisher pays out to celebs over claims of hacking, blagging, and deception. News group newspaper apologized to the claimants who include Mel C and Catherine Tate. I don't know who Catherine Tate is. Is she an actress or a reality star? I'm not sure who she is. Hello, Rodney Jackson. Thank you for being here. Hey, Church Nelly. Naomi Maria. Judy Matassit. Okay. All right. Oh, Legs, thank you so much for the... Oh, that sounds a bit feeble. Let me try it again. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Still sick of the leaks. Why leak Archie's Godfather? You know, that has not been confirmed or denied, and maybe they won't. But yeah, that would be a leak. That would be a leak to cause embarrassment for the Sussexes. That would be the whole point of that. Because I don't believe any of us ever knew who the Godfather was. So, and what's kind of weird is that I haven't heard anybody call them out, not even Omid Scobie. It seems like if Omid Scobie is doing a book tour, that he would have, tweeted, aha, see, there you go again. But yeah, if you've heard someone mention the leak, do tell, because I haven't seen anybody say or confirm or even call them out for the leak. But maybe it's not true. I hope so. But still, it's very strange. It is very strange that something so sensitive would have been leaked. But then again, it wouldn't be the palace if there wasn't some form of retaliation. Hey, Black Queen. So, as for that article, it says here that a group of celebrities have received substantial damages and public apologies from News Group newspaper, publisher of The Sun, and previously News of the World, over unlawful information gathering practices. Among the claimants are Spice Girl Mel C, comedian Catherine Tate, and Keith Allen and radio presenter Chris Moyles. Let's see. The news group's apologies were conveyed to Mr. Justice Fancourt in the High Court on Tuesday morning. What were the claimants saying? News group newspaper had done. The claimants all alleged that the news group had intruded on their privacy. Christopher Hutchings, media dispute partner at law firm Hamlins, which represents the group, said the impact of the application is intrusive. Private information can be long-lasting. We are pleased that News Group has been held to account for its unlawful actions. The court was told that each claimant had received substantial damages from the publisher. Now, you know what? What they call substantial damages in the UK, I call lunch money, because here in the US, when we say substantial damages, that usually means, let me see, what did Fox News have to pay? And that was a settlement, $787 million. And the reason why I remember that is because one of my favorite aircraft is the Boeing 747. I'm sorry, 787. So the Dreamliner, and that figure that they had to pay out is the same. And they still have another lawsuit for another one of the voting machine manufacturers. So News Group is paying out a lot of money. And, they get off easy in the UK. But when a jury of your peers here in the United States awards damages, I'm here to tell you, be prepared to mortgage everything, including your cufflinks, because here, the punitive damages can be substantial. I'm talking the tens of millions. Sometimes the damages that are awarded are so great that they have to have another hearing so they could reduce the amount. But as far as the jury is concerned, when they want to send a message, they want to send a message. So it's really too bad they could not have submitted their lawsuit here. But yeah, that is very unfortunate. They need to go through an American court if they can, because I'm here to tell you, you will get everything, including their shadow. They won't even be able to afford um, common sense by the time the U.S. courts get through with them. So they're lucky. They're lucky they're over there because they use magistrates or whatever. They don't use a jury to award those cases, do they? I don't think so. But that's okay, long as they got something. And the most important thing, they got an apology, they got a settlement. I mean, money is not everything, but the idea that Rupert Murdoch would be on the verge of collapse is exciting to me. So I don't think any amount of money would ever, in any way, come close to an apology or evening the score because, um, what am I saying? You know what I mean? Even the score because the lives that are damaged and the amount of anxiety and paranoia that is caused from those types of intrusions in one's life is horrific. It changes the way people move and think and feel, and you lose relationships. You uh, even become paranoid of family and closest friends that, of course, are also family. So it's awful. They get off easy, having damaged someone's lives. Okay. So anyway, that was that. If you're interested in that article, if you want to experience more of it, it's actually a very short article. Yeah. Let me see. Full list of claimants is Keith Allen, Melanie C., Catherine Tate, Twig Clark, who was previously in a relationship with Tate, uh, Davinia Douglas, DJ and presenter Jason King, actor Matthew Horn, former Boyzone member Shane Lynch, radio presenter Chris Moyles, former actor Catalina Girardo, and Rafferty Law. That is the list of people that was able to settle with the news group. Okay, so that's that. Let's move on. Let's move on. Hey, Anastasia. Oh, by the way, Marcy Foreman, thank you so much for 8 months membership, and good evening to you too. And also, Carol Lund, thank you so much for 21 months membership. 21 months. Wow. Anyway, let's see. 20 months. Great podcast. Thank you, Baron. Oh, you're so welcome, Caroline. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Leslie F. Terry H., if I didn't say hi already. Anna Espinoza. All right. Moving on. Moving on. Oh, boy. I almost closed out the thing. I better pay attention to what I'm doing here. I almost closed out the channel. Let me see here. So we're back here to the 25 most intriguing people of the year. So it does include Harry. Spare, I tell you, really ought to put him at the top of the list because Spare is going to help a lot of people, especially young people that are trying to get through their grief, having lost a parent. Ideal for that. But Snubbed. Meet People's 25 most intriguing people of the year. It doesn't include Kate, and it certainly doesn't include the sexiest bald man who's ever drawn a breath, William Willie Leaks Windsor. He's not included either. Yes, the new Prince of Wales is stale as yesterday's bread. He is not included in the list. He probably won't ever make the list. Even when he goes through a coronation, he's not likely to ever make the list because nobody likes him and nobody cares. And as for, oh, I went to a cheap boutique and bought these earrings so I could appear more relatable, Kate, she's not likely to ever make the list either. So, um, yeah, unfortunate for them, but good for us so we don't have to see their smug little faces on the list. V. Bram, thank you for 8 months membership. Greatly appreciated. And thank you so much for being here tonight or this morning. So, Prince Harry treat, unjustifiably treated less favorably than others over protection in UK courts told. So, the impact of an attack on the Duke of Sussex would have on the UK's reputation should have been taken into account, his lawyer argues. Well, yeah, I mean, that's pretty obvious that it would be a reputational hit on the UK, not to mention a stain on that pathetic family. They did not seem to care. And we all know that this was about revenge. When Harry refused to drop his case, when Harry refused to let it go, he was told by Lord so and so, whoever that was, that if you don't drop the case, you are going to not only lose your income, but you're going to lose your royal protection. And Harry was like, I'm not dropping it. This is why I say that theirs must be an incredibly strong relationship, not to mention the fact that together they are a team, the Sussexes, because um, dropping the thing would be the easy way out. Harry could have settled for other things in the past, and he chose not to settle. He decided that he would see it through. Since I have deep pockets, I am going to go all the way. And that is what he has done and what he will continue to do. So, the idea of dropping it so that everybody can go back to their devious task is out of the question. So I have to say, it's not so much that I just admire him, which I do, but both the Sussexes, because this is truly something that will help other people. I would say that the Sussexes' philanthropy and goodwill is not limited to their foundation, but legally, this will set a precedent for other people that find themselves in the crosshairs of the tabloids. So good on you both for being so brave and staying in the fight because it will definitely help other people. Just as Harry said, that the book Spare may actually go a long way to help his nephews and his niece as they go through the heir and the spare situation, because history has a way of repeating. So that is something that goes way back in that institution is the heir and the spare. And having survived it as Harry has, he would hate to see that happen to any other kids. Now, they said that William kind of scoffed at the idea of Harry saying that, but that is not the point. It's not about William because William seems to be on the side of the institution, but for the spare, it is devastating. So Harry is going to continue. Right there, I took that image from yesterday, and I decided to have a do-over. I will show you the difference from yesterday. So there you go. That was the original that I got from somebody off the interweb. And then I decided to make it over. Give it a little shadow and contrast. Huh? Huh? Did I do good? Did I do good? Right? That's what it needed. Yeah, I just needed some color, some depth. There you go. And of course, some that three-dimensional effect. All right. And next. So Prince Harry's lawyer tells the judge that revoking Harry's security was the first time Ravak had ever deviated from his own policy. Harry didn't know the royal household, of course, King Charles and Sir Clive Alderton, had gotten involved, right? So Harry, believing that his family misguided, but still, loving and supportive just the same in their own maniacal, evil, devious way. But how could he know that it seems like the whole thing was coming all the way from the top? So the Ravak, it doesn't seem as though they were operating independent of the crown. As a matter of fact, wasn't what's the guy's name? Young, wasn't Young the former what was he, the secretary to the Queen or whatever he was? Um, and then of course Charles took him on after they got some other guy fired, and of course when the Queen died, the Young actually got some other assignment. So the fix was in, and Charles seemed to be aware of every movement. As a matter of fact, if Charles had chosen to take the side of his own son, he could have actually paid for security himself. I mean, he could have taken a stand, but saying that it was left to this Ravek and that there was nothing that could have been done, or to just say nothing at all, well, that was completely misleading. The royal family could have gotten involved. At this point, I do believe the Queen, Charles, should I say, was acting, excuse me, more like a regent. Now, whether or not Charles was officially a regent in writing, I don't know. But the past few years before the Queen's death, Charles had definitely taken over a lot of the Queen's duties, and the Queen was not doing a lot in the end. I mean, they took a photo of her on the 70th year of her accession in front of the famous red box, but I think that was just for appearances. As a matter of fact, what would be the point of having the Queen take a photo sitting in a wingback chair with the red box open? That is something that the Queen normally would have used at her desk. But this stage photo, which was shared, where the Queen declared that she wanted everyone to know Camilla as the Queen Consort. And that is interesting because I believe that it was agreed, not only agreed, but I think it was in writing that Camilla would be a princess consort, not to offend people who have known and loved Princess Diana, which is the same reason why Camilla, who really was supposed to be the Duchess, actually the Princess of Wales, used Duchess of Cornwall, so not to offend people. But after The Crown and after all the misleading documentaries and the work of the journalists and authors and everything that has reimagined the events that led up to Diana dying mysteriously in that tunnel in Paris, I guess they figured enough time had gone by. Well, why don't we just drop the princess consort and call her queen consort? And not long after the planning for the coronation, did they say, you know what, about that consort part, that's a bit clumsy. Why don't we just say Queen Camilla? So I believe that the Queen had to change something to make Camilla the Queen consort. I believe they probably had something in writing saying that that would never be so, um, which is probably the only way that it was agreed that Charles could marry her in the first place. So um, there you go. And that stage photo right there, that was, well, I believe that was a video, but also they took photos. That was part of the plan from Charles to get everything settled before the Queen passed away. So at this point, I do believe the Queen was already extremely ill. And let's see, that was in, I think it was February of 2022. Well, months later, she died. So I think that timetable is just about right. And Charles at that point was really operating as a regent. That is my belief. Let's see here. Take one of your comments. So Dansby says, I never understood why Parliament didn't fight Charles on her being called queen. Um, I don't think they really cared, especially with the Tories. I don't think they really cared. It was just because the thing is, Charles could have changed it after the fact, but part of the preparation for people mentally to have Camilla participate in the coronation, they had to take steps. And every step they would like squint and look, peek through one eye to see what people's reactions were. That's what I believe. It was incremental and consistent and steady. And eventually, after much propaganda and gaslighting, pretty much by the time coronation day came, you didn't see any protest of Camilla. People just accepted it. So it took years to get there. By the way, thank you for your comment. But it was inevitable. They had several years to wear people down with that nonsense, and it worked. But if you're spending millions of dollars on spin doctors, you should get some type of result. Um, and they have invested a lot of money. It took a lot of throwing the Sussexes under the bus to also achieve their goal, but it worked. They have this relationship with the media, and the media has a relationship with the crown, and they act together. All of those articles saying that the Charles and Camilla, the love affair of the greatest love affair of all times. I remember seeing that one, and the two of them sitting there looking at each other like they just couldn't stand to be away from each other. Which I'm sure after the photo, Camilla went home to her house, and Charles probably went back to Highgrove. But that is the game that they have been playing. And so far, they have gotten away with it. So far, they have gotten away with it. In terms of any pushback on behalf of Diana, if it hasn't come from Harry, it just hasn't been. There's been absolutely no pushback. Everything is going their way. Prince Harry challenges unfair treatment over UK security in London court. Uh, I am going to play just a little bit of the video that I made earlier. It's a little longer, so I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I'll play just a bit of it. Prince Harry unjustifiably treated less favorably than others over protection in UK. The impact an attack on the Duke of Sussex would have on the UK's reputation should have been taken into account, his lawyers argue. Prince Harry has unjustifiably been treated less favorably than others over his security arrangements when he is in the UK. The Duke of Sussex is taking legal action against the Home Office over a decision in February 2020 that meant he would no longer be given the same degree of personal protective security when visiting. The decision was made by the Executive Committee for the Protection of Royalty and Public Figures, RAVEC. Shahid Fatima KC, representing the Duke of Sussex, said in a written submission, RAVEC should have considered the impact that a successful attack on the claimant would have, bearing in mind his status, background, and profile within the royal family, which he was born into and which he will have for the rest of his life, and his ongoing charity work and service to the public. RAVEC should have considered in particular the impact on the UK's reputation of a successful attack on the claimant. She added, the claimant's consistent position has been and remains that he should be given state security in light of the threats, risks he faces. Harry is not attending the hearing at the High Court, where much of the case will be heard in private over the next 3 days, with a decision expected at a later date. Opening the case, his barrister said, the starting point in this case is about the right to security and safety of a person. There cannot be a right of greater importance. She said the Duke has engaged fully and properly with the evidence and that his unlawful and unfair treatment was apparent from the documents. Harry is asking the court to be treated in the way RAVEC has treated other people, she said, arguing that RAVEC had chosen not to follow its own written policy. She said no risk management board, RMB risk analysis had been carried out, adding, this is the first time RAVEC has ever decided to deviate from its policy in this way. Ms. Fatima said, no good reason has been provided for singling the claimant out in this way. All right, so there you go. That's a little over half of the video. But yeah, so that explains everything. What a dirty business. What a dirty business. Oh boy. Shutter Island is filled with hoodwinked and bamboozled Stockholm Syndrome peasants. It's not that hard to grift them in every way possible, sadly. Yeah. But then that's how we got Donald Trump, isn't it? Another case where somebody rich was supposed to have the welfare of the downtrodden and the poor in mind. So unfortunately, people everywhere are being bamboozled and grifted. But thank you so much for your comment. So yeah, that was, oh, I didn't really need that slide. So Lord Chamberlain William Peel told Prince Harry that if he didn't withdraw his case against the Sun in 24 hours, he would face severe consequences. And that's what happened. So what happened while they were in Canada was a result of Harry refusing to drop his case. RAVEC then goes against its own policy for the first time ever to remove Harry's security. So this explains why Harry has instructed his lawyers to go after RAVEC. It would seem as though RAVEC was acting justifiable and rightly and all that kind of stuff, but apparently not. RAVEC was being capricious. They othered Harry. They decided that Harry did not deserve the same security that the rest of the family would receive just because there's a relationship between Kensington Palace, Clarence House, and the tabloid media. So, since Harry didn't want to play along and just drop the case, again, this case has to do with the family and the firm circling the wagons to protect Christian Jones. Christian Jones, who Harry said he had unimpeachable evidence beyond reproach that Christian Jones was responsible for a massive leak, and he approached William with it. William agreed that he would do something about it, and he was almost pretending like he was going to be an ally, only for him to side with the institution, and of course, Papa and all the rest of them. So what a sad thing. It's all coming out, right? So while they're talking about the baby's skin color, this is definitely one of the things that they don't want to talk about. So, in spite of their charm offensive today, at least three things happened. Megan showed up on the streets of Southern California looking like she had no care in the world. She could give two craps. Um, they had this announcement from the court. And let's see, what's the other thing? Harry on the 25 most intriguing people list. So there was three things that we could take comfort with today. And of course, David Shelbourne, um, Harry's lawyer, who has fantastic hair, by the way. That I think it was by chance that he met David while they were vacationing. While he was vacationing with Sir Elton John, and was told, "Yes, you have a case. You don't need to depend on those institutional lawyers. I'll help you. I'll take your case." So, yeah, one of the reasons why Harry couldn't do anything sooner, well, there were two things. Number one, the family left him out of the loop, and they kept encouraging him to just not look at the papers, right? My darling boy. Oh, don't look at those papers, my darling boy. That's what Charles said. And the other thing is the lawyers for the institution, well, the Queen wanted the lawyers to cooperate. Charles, who was acting as a regent, said no. So that's the reason why Harry ended up with other legal representation and not that of the palace. If it was from any other, like for instance, it's not really a great equivalent, but it's as close as we can get. If it was the president or someone within the first family, they would have two different ways to defend themselves. If it was a civil matter, of course, you would use a private law firm. But if it was something to do with the government, of course, I believe the attorney general would have gotten involved. Then, of course, the attorney general would recuse him or herself, and then they would find someone else who could be more independent and fair and unbiased to investigate it. But if there would be some type of defense, but for Harry in his situation, where he feels as though he has been wronged by a government body, they tried to convince him to drop it or else. I mean, that is wrong on so many levels. First of all, let's say if this was an elected head of state and his father was the head of the administration, right? And Harry, of course, being a member of the first family, would be able to sue the government. And the likelihood that his father would try to prevent him is very small, right? But in this instance, with an unelected head of state, well, look at how that's turning out. And just remember, people keep saying, Oh, would you rather have a president? Would you rather have a president? Or would you rather have a hereditary monarch who, whether he's a good person or a bad person, whether she's smart or slow, doesn't matter. You're stuck with uh, either him or her. So I don't know. I don't think that that really works for most people, especially when their influence can derail the government. Their influence can help them, uh, I guess, benefit financially and otherwise from the government. So, yeah, maybe the elected head of state is the way to go. So, right here, the Royal Charm Offensive. Harry, who Royals, I'm sorry, Harry, who? The Royals to put in the united front at Buckingham Palace reception tonight as they brush off Omid Scobie racism row with a series of engagements with adoring members of the public. Well, so yeah, that is what happened today. So all day today, there was a blitz, if you will, of photos and stories, one after the other. It started with Kitty and ended with Willie, and then eventually by the night, all three of them were together along with what's that chick's name? Camilla. Along with Camilla. Charles and Kate show off. One more time. Charles and Kate's show of unity, King and his daughter in law will carry out their first joint engagement since Omid Scobie's race row. Then they attend Buckingham Palace reception tonight. So King Charles and Kate are among senior royals expected to host over 500 guests at the annual pre Christmas diplomatic reception at Buckingham Palace this evening. Friend Cecilia Mosley says all that stage PR BS is not working. Thank you for that. Um, so Kate's helping hand. Royals show why she's dubbed the children's. Oh, I feel acid coming up the back of my throat. The children's princess. As she wraps arms around two young girls who helped her open new hospital unit in London. The Princess of Wales has been a patron of the charity since 2018. Oh, they had to hurry up and find something for her to do in 2018. I wonder what happened in 2018 that caused them to rush out and find something that she could do to make her seem warm and engaging. What is it about 2018 that drove her into the arms of a hospital wing? Oh, I know what it was. It was Rachel Meghan Markle, aka Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. That is what drove her into the hospital. So, here's a couple things that I discovered. Number one, airbrushed. As you can see, Kate's face looks like porcelain. I mean to tell you, it looks like something that was shaped and fired in a kiln with a lovely glaze so that it would come out looking absolutely flawless. The truth is something a little less flattering. And then, of course, pose with black people. Reach out and touch somebody black and make sure all the cameras see that. Reach out and touch somebody black and make sure all the cameras see that. Take a little time out your busy day to touch a Negro along the way. We can show them, you'll see. I know it doesn't look naturally. We can show them if we start touching black people, black people. Reach out and touch somebody black. Yes, that is one of the verses of Diana Ross's song "Reach Out and Touch Someone." That was one of the controversial verses that was removed from the original song, but somehow I found it and I decided to share it with you tonight. Lex says, "No offense, but what's up with blacks in the UK?" Well, I think that the teams from the various houses of Windsor can be very persuasive. And after all, this is a hospital, and it wouldn't appear proper for the medical staff to refuse, or God knows they couldn't afford to call off from work. So unfortunately, they were just stuck. And making the best of it, they had to get in there and be enthusiastic and everything. And I don't want to start any type of conspiracies, but these kids look like they are overly enthusiastic, which is rare for a royal visit. Now, I'm not saying that there's any compounds or anything in a medical facility that would induce euphoria like that. Maybe it was just all based on the charm and the wit of the Princess of Wales. Yeah, let's not assume that anybody spiked their chocolate milk or anything. Let's just assume that these are honest to goodness, enthusiastic encounters with people, especially people of color. I'm sure there's no elixirs in that whole facility that would cause something to appear to be something that it is not. But thank you so much for that. Legs also says, doesn't that speak of corruption? If black people have to worry about fear or favor, that speaks volumes. It is very pathetic and embarrassing. I agree with you. I am in total agreement. They seem like they have to perform. But yeah, I also still say that there might be something. I need them to take an inventory of the lockers. Excuse me. Or that one part of the nurses station where they keep everything under lock and key. I need them to take an inventory. Or who knows? Maybe it was the air ducts. Maybe they put something in the air ducts. Phoebe Schwartz says the hospital officials also probably didn't want to be treated the same way that the head of Sister Space was after the encounter with Lady Susan. Yeah, I mean, there is probably some fear that caused favor that day. They can be very persuasive. They can be very persuasive. Um, yes, it's lithium batteries. The lithium batteries that are used to illuminate the lights, which causes people to feel warm and joyful. I'm just play along, Carmen. It's lithium batteries. That's all. Wink, wink. Lithium batteries. Uh, and this is the one that really, really grates on my nerves. But people of color, check. Pose with black people, check. Airbrush, check. And of course, children, check. Gotta be with other people's children. And especially if the child has braids, that is extra points. She get extra credit for finding a child that has braids. Any child will do as long as they have braids. Now, the tighter the braids, the better, because that's an indication of blackness, getting that hair pulled real tight like that. So she gets extra points for finding somebody's child that has tight braids like that. So yeah, that is um that is what Kitty was doing. You could see that sly look on her face. She knew she nailed it today. She knew that everything that was on that checklist She managed to get through it. Check, 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 and check. Actually, double check, because remember, not only is it a child, but there's also braids. So, yeah, she had a very productive day today. And of course, one last sly look on the way out. Um, I'm surprised she didn't like put her arm around this lady and hold her as close as possible, having successfully achieved the look that they were after. Oh, they took hundreds of photos, hundreds of photos. Kate had on one of her business suits and stilettos, and there were black people everywhere. Of course, not everybody is so pleased. One of the people on the Sussex squad made this racist Kate Middleton using black people as propaganda props, sick gaslighting, an attempt to convince us she's not a racist. Hashtag abolish the monarchy. Yeah. Well, it works until it doesn't work. That's the unfortunate thing. These things work until they don't. And so far, as much as I hate to say it, but it's true, they seem to have foiled it another attempt to expose them for the people they really are. It's that relationship with the press. They're not doing this for you. They're not doing it for me. They're not trying to convince us. But what they're desperately trying to do is they want to maintain the royalists that they have. You don't want to lose what you have. And if possible, they can pull some other people into this farce. And if that doesn't work, as long as you create a warm feeling, no matter, how low the temperature, but if you can give like a warm feeling or convey some type of atmosphere where you seem to be not such a bad person after all, right? Then that's better than nothing at all. So this is some very crafty PR exercise, a very crafty PR exercise. Lex says some offense of black women need to snatch the. Yeah, some offensive black woman needs to snatch that wig, or at least pretend like it got caught in your ring or something. But yeah, um, grab that other people's hair. Oh man. Well, and you could see like that photo, the top right photo. See that dark line that comes down the side of her head? You can see where her hair is in the front, some of it, and in the back, that is definitely like a fall that she has attached on the back of her head. That is where the wig begins, is right there. So I think it's just like a very large you know, well, very long piece, but there's probably like half a cap or something like that, and they just pin it in place. But yeah, it's really a show of insecurity, as some lady said some time ago, that it's time for her to trim it down a bit. But she has hair that's even bigger. This is like a a half a wig. The other day she had on the big Farrah Fawcett thing. So, but thank you for your comment, Legs. It is a bit superficial, and of course, parading around working class families dressed up like that, you would have thought that was a thing of the past, but no, it is not. So, and then we have Willie Leaks. Back with his mate Dave, Prince William poses in red cap selling the Big Issue magazine for the third time in a year. Really, just three times? After vowing to end homelessness once and for all. This is just as insulting as what Kate was just doing. This is just as insulting, if not worse. Well, no, I take that back. I would say they're equal. Homeless people, children, ill, sick children, or homeless people. Both are disgusting. It says today, which there he is posing with this guy, and then there it was from last year. So if they say this is the third time, where are the photos from in between? Where are the photos from in between? Why do you only have the two photos if this is the third time that he and this guy have connected in a year? Now, let me show you this. Whilst posing with this man who seems to be a bit underwhelmed by it all. And I dare I say, is there a possibility that they are taking advantage of someone who is, shall we say, mentally on the cusp, if you will? This guy may have declined mentally or whatever the case may be. And there is one of the wealthiest men in all of the United Kingdom, someone who just inherited a $1 billion fortune. No, you can't save everyone, but why don't you save your pal while you're standing there with your 5,600 pound watch, Omega watch, a 5,600 pound Omega watch. Wow. Now that's tacky. That is tacky. And the thing is, he did that the first time. The first time I believe they said it was a Rolex. I believe the first time they said it was a Rolex. Now he's standing there with an Omega. That's one of those luxury brands that you would find in the Town and Country magazine or Vogue or something like that. And there he is out there selling issues of the big book wearing a 6,500 pound watch. All I could say is if that was the Sussexes, if that was Harry and Meghan, we all know how that would have ended up. Now, there was another announcement that came out today, courtesy of ITV. Check it out. This is how the United Kingdom compares to the rest of Europe. Well, to France, Germany, and then, of course, there on the far right is the United States. When it comes to household income, the average Brit gets about 32,500 pounds. France, 35,300 pounds. Germany, 38,900 pounds. And the US, 53,200 pounds. I don't know what the conversion is, but that is how the UK has been lagging since the global pandemic. That shows you how the UK has been lagging since the start of the global pandemic. France and Germany are clearly pulling ahead, and the UK is kind of stuck. Now, you could blame the pandemic, but why are they behind? Also, the big elephant in the room, the global pandemic. The global pandemic. So, I'm sorry, not the global pandemic, the Brexit. The Brexit. That is one of the big reasons is Brexit. That unnecessary change of government, well, not government, but I wouldn't say change of sovereignty, but whatever you want to call it. That financial arrangement, that um, treaty, if you will, with the continental Europe, that is one of the reasons why that is what it is today. take a listen. Oh, there we go. Knew I had it somewhere. There we go. Tom Bradby, you guys.
Of collapse and where the gap between rich and poor grows year on year. That is how Britain was described today in a bleak and damning assessment of its economy. The failure to achieve all but negligible growth has left the average worker a simply staggering £10,000 a year worse off, according to a leading think tank. And we're now lagging way behind countries we used to think of as equals. In Germany, middle-income households are full 20% richer than their peers in the UK. We'd be here all night if we listed the failings identified in the 290-page report, but put simply, in almost every sector, the UK is just not productive enough. And if there's any hope of turning the ship around, the authors say radical reform is needed.
Typical UK household has a disposable income of around £32,000 a year, adjusted for tax and inflation. By contrast, the typical French household is almost £3,000 a year better off. The typical German household, almost £6,500 richer. And the typical American household, £20,000 a year better off. The picture for lower income households is just as depressing. And over the last 15 years, the gap between us and them has got wider.
Politicians and policymakers are not getting serious about the scale of the problem and the challenges the UK economy faces. They talk about world beating this and world beating that. Instead, they need to get real and think about how they work where we are now.
Well, listen, I think a lot of people watching this, like, I was when I heard it today, will be really shocked by these figures. What are Germany and France doing right that we're not?
Well, I mean, the Resolution Foundation, first of all, talks about us economic decline in relative terms, relative to countries we like to compare ourselves to, as you point out. The Chancellor doesn't accept this. He disagrees. He was today talking up all of our undoubted strengths as a nation and also pointing out that there are quite a few countries that are struggling with economic growth. But there are several ways, Tom, to grow an economy. Economies grow when there are simply more people in the economy producing stuff. They grow when people are working longer hours and producing more stuff. But neither of those forms of growth necessarily leave people better off. What matters in terms of living standards is higher productivity. Producing more efficiently, that's what leads to higher pay.
And produce more and your salary is still frozen. Trust me, I have intimate knowledge of a salary that is frozen. I went a full 20 years and was still pretty much making the same salary. Even though I had changed jobs several times, I couldn't seem to get past that hurdle in terms of salary. I would have felt really bad about that, except for I was not the only one. There were a lot of people who made X amount of dollars in the 1990s and by 2010 seemed to be making just about the same amount of money. Right? So there was that long gap here in the US where we were not really moving that far. The only reason why the US has had any type of salary increase was because of the global pandemic. That pandemic taught a lesson to employers because there were people who didn't have any place to go, but they wasn't going back there. So if that's any indication as to why there may be a widening gap, at least for the US, is because people were fed up. There are retailers now that are paying far more money. And of course, the big, oh, but we won't be able to maintain that. They are doing just fine. Crime is a bigger problem than it is the salary increase. And I think I speak for a lot of people. I will gladly pay a little bit more if I know that the money is going to benefit the employees, right? So that's one way to look at it. I think a lot of people are more comfortable paying a little bit more if it's going to make a difference. But if the companies are just going to pocket the money, then I think a lot of people are just like, not so much. But yeah, so that's something that is pretty universal. But again, the Tory government seems to really have been socking it to the working class in the UK, that they would be so far behind everybody else. And yet you have this royal family that's out there having a charm offensive where they are being just as posh as they want to be with their uh, Omega watch. Or as YM Droid says, he left a 50,000 pound watch at home this time. Growth. Thank you so much for that, YM Droid. But yeah, so there you go. They are really giving people the shaft. That is what's happening. They are truly giving people the shaft. And right there, that says it all. Please donate food. Food bank open today. Food bank. The Glasgow Food Bank is open today. And yet you have the hereditary monarch and his heir, as well as the side piece. Didn't even come with French fries. The side piece, and of course, Kitty, the daughter of the air hostess and the daughter of the air mechanic or whatever he was, all dressed up with their tiaras and their sashes. And Charles is doing his impersonation of Grandpa Monster. There they all are, lined up like Mount Rushmore, ready to celebrate being rich. Rich and privileged. There are two Britons, as you can see there with this old photo. There are two Britons. There's the haves and the have-nots, or the haves and the have-mores if you just stay within the royal family, the haves and the have-mores. Now, this was interesting. King Charles called a scab. Maury MP mockingly swears allegiance to King Charles by calling him King Skin Rash at the opening of New Zealand's parliament. Maury MP calls Charles King Skin Rash at the opening of parliament. And again, Maury MP covertly calling King Charles a skin rash at opening of parliament. This was in New Zealand, of course. Now, there is a video. I'm telling you, this guy has a very powerful set of lungs on him, so get ready for it. Let me see, where is he at here? Is this it? Yes, there we go.
Ko hau, ko rāwiri Waititi, e kia ana I runga I te pono, I te tika, I te ngākau tapatahi. Me te whakau anō, ka noho pirihonga, ka noho pūmau, kia kiingi hare hare, te tuatoru. Me tōna kāhui whakaheke, e ai ki te ture.
So there you have it. Now, that says the use of Maori word here has sparked a translation debate about whether the intended term means King Charles or skin rash. That would be the faithful, that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. and all of his heirs and successors according to law. Also known as King Skin Rash. I don't understand though. Why would he? Oh, never mind. I get it. In other words, I guess he's trying to say it looks like Charles drinks too much. King Skin Rash. Little rosacea do we have going on there, do we? Little rosacea? Huh, okay. I don't know. Godzilla? I don't know. I mean, um, I used to call her Camilla, Queen of the Desert, when they went to Egypt that time, because I was like, of all times for the queen consort to, oh, actually, was she princess at the time? Of all times for the Duchess of Cornwall to neglect to bring her um, moisturizer, because, you know, the three big things I would say if I ever met her: moisturize, moisturize, moisturize. I think it might be a little bit too late, but yeah, moisturize. Well, the Oaxaca is that war dance, but I don't know. I don't know if you would call that a Oaxaca, but that little thing he has in his hand, it looks like, you know, back in the day, they used to have that little leather pouch that had that lead weight inside of it in case you wanted to creep up and tighten somebody's hat. You know what I mean? Oddly enough, we had one of those in the household, but it was like a little leather thing that had like a lead weight inside of it, kind of shaped like cutting a boiled egg in half the long way, right? And it was sewn inside of that leather pouch. And when if somebody got on your nerves, or let's say somebody say, "Look, I think I just won some money with a scratch off," you just kind of tip up behind them and just, you know, and all of a sudden they're hearing Tweety Birds. So that's what that looks like to me, is one of those little, I forgot what they call those, but yeah, that kind of looks like that thing that you tighten up somebody's hat with, give them a little pumpkin head. Yeah. Um, where's Church Nelly? I know Church Nelly know what it's called. Um, oh, is that what they call it in New Zealand? Because in my neighborhood, I'm sure it had a different name, but I just remember it had a little strap that went around the back of your fingers so that you wouldn't lose it, and it had a little lead weight in it, right? And it was a leather, black shiny leather case, just right to tighten up that hat. Oh, well, so that is what happened in New Zealand today. Maori politicians mockingly pledged their allegiance to King Charles by calling him King Skin Rash during the opening of New Zealand's parliament on Tuesday. Three lawmakers from the Te Pāti Maori Party, the smallest in parliament, which represents Maori people, called him Kingi Harhar instead of using the Maori name for him, which is Kingi Tari. Har har is a derogatory term in the Maori where that means skin rash or sore. It can also connote something objectionable or affronting, according to the Maori dictionary. Objectionable and fronting. Now, I don't know if this is any time to bring Andrew into this, the sick old man, but okay, whatever. So the politician also broke protocol by pledging allegiance first to their descendants and the country founding document. They each made a pledge to their makupuna, or descendants, or the Tikanga or Maori practices and the Maori version of the Treaty of Waitangi. The Treaty of Waitangi, signed in 1840, lays down a set of principles under which the British and Maori agree to govern New Zealand, but the English and Maori versions differ. I don't doubt that. And there is debate over whether the Maori ceded sovereignty. Exactly. Because that document is probably written in English, I'm going to say that they probably didn't know what it said. But let's see. Critics of the party said that the Te Pati Maori mocked the king, who is planning to visit the country next year. They are trying to make fun of the translation har, which is said har is kind of a translation of Charlie. Charlie. But it also means something objectionable. New Zealand's first first MP, Shane Jones, David Seymour, leader of the Libertarian Party, dismissed the demonstration as divisive theatrics. I don't know. I kind of enjoyed it, especially when he was creeping up with that little club. I I kind of enjoyed it. I'm telling you, that looked like one of those things that you would it would give you like a, if it didn't like completely knock you out, at the very least you might get just a little hairline fracture. Just a little, just enough to render you quiet until, somebody can get away. But yeah, so I guess if they visit next year, if somebody walks up and say, "How hard Tukana," or whatever, I would say it's probably time to retreat, because he's creeping up and he got that thing there. I mean, if you ask me, either that is a ritual or practice. That's either a ritual or practice. Man. That is a ritualistic dance or practice. So I would skip New Zealand if I was Charlie. I think I would skip New Zealand because I can't tell if that's a ritualistic dance or practice. Look like practice to me. What he's practicing, I hate to say, but look like he's practicing creeping up on somebody, don't it? Little practice. I'm gonna creep up on him, and after that, we'll see about that treaty of 1841. How about that? Okay, so oh man. And then of course, she's wearing tartan, which of course is not surprising. I don't know what it is about indigenous people of other lands that seem to feel a connection to Scotland, but probably because they have been colonized by the same foreign forces all these years or whatever. Maybe that's why. Yeah, maybe that's why. Uh, what in the world? Okay. Okay. So, and then there was this other gentleman. Now, he doesn't have the lead filled leather sack. It looks like he went and got, I don't know what that is, but that looked like it'll mess you up too. So, uh, I don't know, Charles. It looks like they either are practicing or they're doing something ritualistic. But either way, Maybe it's time for the great white father to call off the vacation. And anyway, that is who they refer to as Charlie Skin Rash, King Skin Rash, Charles. Yeah. Oh, well. Moving on. Moving on. So, London's first Black Lord Lieutenant Sir Kenneth Olisa dismisses racist royal scandal as nonsense and says discussing the features of an unborn child is harmless. Well, of course he said that. Now, of course, you remember yesterday when I was talking about Trevor Phillips. I also shared another person who I thought was a runner-up for the Uncle Ben's lookalike contest. Well, Sir Ken Lisi, whatever his name is, he actually does wear the bow tie. And if there's anybody who is a good nominee to be Uncle Ben, that is, of course, the gentleman of African descent that seems to give comfort with his very non-confrontational demeanor. He makes white people feel safe. So, yeah. And if anybody makes white people feel safe, it's Sir Ken. Ken, of course, is in military uniform when he greets members of the royal family when they are on an outing. Well, I told you guys, all hands on deck. Everybody that the royal family has ever given a trinket or an honor to, they are calling in those favors. And Ken is no exception. So Ken got to get out there and shake a tail feather and make people understand the point of view of the royal family. There is no racism. We don't have a problem. There's nothing to look at, folks. It's just us and every Black person we've ever known. So that is how they intend to do it. And there he is greeting Charles for one of those occasions. Now, to me, it just seems like a scene straight out of Driving Miss Daisy. But that's his role, is whenever the royal family has an official engagement within the city of London, he is there, usually in uniform. This is one of the few times I haven't seen him in uniform, but he's there in uniform to receive them. Okay, let's see. The royal family reportedly used Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to distract from Prince William's alleged affair. So this is just the only other magazine of note that I've seen that is actually discussing it. Most people are just not touching the story, but this is one of the few that is discussing it. But yeah, I didn't see the article. I mean, I already know this about, but good on them for sharing that, right? Right. So, Misan Harriman, I am proudly about to receive my honorary doctorate from Ravenborn, UK. Well, he's not the only one that has been honored this week, because if you remember from yesterday, there is Dr. Shola. It's the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our sight. Blessed. There's Dr. Shola receiving her honorary doctorate. I want an honorary doctorate. That would be fun, wouldn't it? So, yeah. Awarded the same degree as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. How sweet. And there she was signing in the same book that he signed. So, yeah, congratulations to Misan Harriman, or Dr. Harriman, Dr. Misan Harriman. Honorary doctor. Very cool. Very, very cool. He deserves it, because I tell you, Misan Harriman has not only used his camera, he's used his voice. He has risked his reputation in order to shed light on some of the injustices in this world. So he deserves all our respect. Oh, we're getting close to the end, I think. Yeah, we're almost done, you guys. Harriet, is it Elaine Rice, was the first African American to graduate from Wellesley College. She was awarded the Medal of French Gratitude for her medical service in France during World War One. Now, that is really, really cool to see that there was actually someone who received such a high honor. That's, of course, Dr. Harriet Rice, right? Well, I tell you what, it's one thing to have one high achiever in the family back in that era, but two, Dr. George Rice II, brother of Dr. Harriet Rice, was born in Troy, New York in 1848. He earned his medical degree in Europe and was house surgeon at Edinburgh Royal Infirmary, where he worked closely with Dr. John Lister, who pioneered the use of antiseptics during surgery. And you guys, one of the things about antiseptics and even the process of washing one's hands, there were doctors back in the day that would come off the street and they would do little things like, you know, appendix or whatever, and they wouldn't even wash their hands. And a lot of times the patients would later on die of infection. I mean, the mortality rate was like what, 50-50 or less? But thanks to antiseptics and then later on penicillin, the survival rate for minor surgeries have increased a lot over the years. So who knew that one of the pioneers of the use of antiseptics was also an African American doctor whose sister was highly decorated and also a doctor. So those are a couple of people. If you're looking for something interesting to talk about later, you can look those people up, brother and sister. Took a lot to get them to where they were at that time, but I tell you, there's a lot of history with people of African descent that has been deliberately buried under the rug and all but forgotten about. That's why it's very important for us to share that with the young people so that they'll know that they come from a place where we participated in the history of just about every nation between here in Africa. That's very important because sometimes we just don't feel like we are part of the country. We feel disenfranchised in this country and that country. Shouldn't be that way. So take a look up and see if you can find anything about the brother and sister. And with that, you guys, we are going to say goodnight to our Queen Doria with Flower and our Queen Diana with the People's Prince. Wow, an hour and a half. That is intriguing. I can't believe it. I just feel like there's something else, but no, it ain't. So thank you all very much. Thank you, moderators, for keeping this a safe space. And thank you all for your very kind and generous and thoughtful contributions to Royal Sussex. Thank you, Legs. Marcy Foreman, 8 months. Carol Lunn, 21 months. And Vibram, 8 months. Also, thank you, Legs, and YM Droid. All right, cheers. I'm going to have another short video that I may load tonight. So look for that to look at tomorrow or later today or whatever the case may be. Yeah, but thank you all. And our last word for the day is they won't teach this in school. They don't want to give any credit because they want to keep narrative that we are dumb and useless. Shame. You tell them, Black Queen. You tell them. Give them hell. All right. And with that, I am good. Let's see. Nothing to do now but cue the Ginger Avenger. Oh, good night, Desiree Dotson. And no Lydia Washington tonight. I guess she said, you done kept me up all these nights. Oh, and who else? Connie Balmer. Connie Balmer's going to be upset that she missed us. But just in case Connie Balmer decides to watch later, Connie Balmer! All right. Okay, and there's quite a few other people that are missing, but thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Love you guys, and I will see you all tomorrow. All right. So thank you very much. And to Black Queen, I don't know. We're going to get there at some point, though. And Lydia is here. All right. Thank you so much, Lydia. I will see you all tomorrow.